if you voted for Trump, I don't want to see you sipping out a damn thing on Monday. I don't want to see you drinking no margarita. I don't want to see you drinking nothing but water. I better not see you pick up no chip, no salsa, no guacamole, not a damn taco. You don't deserve it. Best believe I'm walking in and asking for voter registration cards. Let me see what you did.
Wow. No, somebody's not happy about Cinco de Porto. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for my friend Chris Plant. It's just so funny to me when people get so outraged. So outraged. What can you do? What can you say? The anger that overtakes people. We of course are celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Chicago, I'm sorry, the parade's been canceled. They told you it's because they're worried ICE would show up and just collect everybody, and then what would happen? Well, if they're here breaking the law. But last year you canceled the parade because violence. So you just got a new excuse this year. Philadelphia canceled because apparently they are genuinely worried. Not about violence, just about ICE showing up and, taking criminals out of the country. I wish we would get an answer on the Kilmore Abrego Garcia case after the latest videos that came out showing the stop in Tennessee that makes it look like, my God, this is human trafficking. One of the amazing things is CNN cut around the body cam video that was released by the Tennessee law enforcement that actually absolutely showed, hey, these are all the typical signs of human trafficking. But then I just want to know, why weren't they detained and questioned further? Is it because that was Joe Biden's America? We hopefully will see some answer from the Supreme Court. I think all this has to go to the Supreme Court, then all the madness can stop. Oh, will it, though? That's the question. The other story was yesterday's interview on Meet the Depressed with Kristen Welker. And the president, I thought, handled her very well. It's not easy when someone is constantly asking you a question, then you're a couple seconds into an answer, interrupts you immediately. Just trying to take you off your answer every time. And I thought the president handled it all very, very well. There was even a question about the First Lady. And, Donald Trump and Melania Trump seen frequently in public together. I think they're a great presidential couple. Speaking of presidential couples, total sidebar tomorrow, Joe and Lady McBiden will appear on The View, which should be interesting. You have to be asking yourself why. Maybe it's because it's a show that happens at 11 o'clock. Now, that show's usually live. Will they carry it live? Or are they recording it ahead of time? We'll know after it airs, I'm sure. But it's usually a live program. We shall see. But yesterday, Welker talking to Donald Trump about a lot of policy things, but also a lot of personal things. For example, the First Lady.
One of the big features of your first administration was the First Lady.
Right.
She had her Be Best campaign.
Right.
Will people start to see more of her? Will she come back with her Be Best campaign, for example? Can you give us a little bit of a preview of what we can see?
Well,
does she really care about the Be Best campaign, or were they out to mock it? Because a lot of people had questions about the term Be Best. Even I did. I mean, what's wrong with Be Your Best? But that was hers, Be Best. Donald Trump supporting his wife, supporting her program.
An example, she did a book, and she was number one bestseller for a long time, for many, many weeks. The people love her. She's a very private person, which I respect a lot. She doesn't have to be out. I know people where they have wives in politics, and the wife wants to be in front of the husband all day long waving to everybody.
Like maybe John Fetterman's wife? Gee. Yeah, probably.
She's got great confidence in herself, and she doesn't need that. But when she goes out, we were out, as you know, last weekend. It was an amazing day. The people love her. They really respect her and they love her. Yeah, she'll be very much involved.
And that's part of why I'm asking you. I mean, can people expect to see her revive her Be Best campaign? Can you give us a little preview?
It's still a campaign that's very important to her.
It never went away. It never went away. But why are you so obsessed with it, Welker?
And it's sort of a cute name, Be Best. I said, that's a strange name, but it's really beautiful, and it sort of, means something now that I didn't understand. A lot of people didn't understand, and she's done a great job. She's raised a lot of money. She cares a lot about people, really cares a lot about people.
And where Welker could have gone was a discussion of the law that was passed that relates to the internet and people who are spreading fake stuff about others on the internet, that Melania Trump was responsible for that. She got that done. It got through. I think it was either signed last week or it's going to be signed this week. I think that's kind of important. Melania Trump trying to protect innocent victims on the internet. Yeah, that got through. It's something nobody talks about. But, yeah, we should give credit to that. I was looking for the clip I had here, and then it suddenly disappeared. But I will find it and play it for you. The First Lady addressing the fact that when she came up with this idea to protect the victims of online harassment, the Democrats didn't show up. And she expected them to show up. They didn't show up. Because why? Her last name is Trump. And they're a bunch of babies. I know that's wrong for me to say that, but that's the truth. That's who they are. Very shallow. All right, let's get back to Welker and what happened with the president, because I think this is very interesting. We talked about a few of the other items that they discussed in this interview. Of course, the issue of the third term was already addressed. The president said, I'm not interested in that. And he talked about Trump derangement syndrome, the people that are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. But he also talked about his legacy a little bit. And when you put to bed the idea of the third term, then you start talking about your legacy. And I think this president, with the remaining 1,350 plus days, really is focused on what his legacy will be in terms of accomplishments.
I know you're only 100 days into this second term, but have you thought about what you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be very much as the name of MAGA and what it represents. It's called Make America Great Again. We were a great country for a period of time, and the last 4 years have been a disaster for the reputation of this country and for the fact of the country. It's been a disaster. We're going to make America great again. That's all I want to do. I want to make it greater than ever before.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's not about Trump. It's about making America great again. It's about the country being great. It's about common sense.
What?
And that truly is at the center of all the things the president is trying to get done. It's common sense. It's fixing the country and getting the country back on track. And part of that requires the big, beautiful bill, which I understand is currently undergoing some serious negotiations back and forth between the House and the Senate Republicans, because there are some issues with spending cuts which have to happen in order for this to get through. The president talked about the big, beautiful bill with Welker.
We're talking about the great, big, beautiful bill, that we're trying to get passed. It'll be the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. And hopefully it'll get done. And the Democrats are fighting us. And if it doesn't get done, it's going to be a 68% tax increase. So that's going to be the Democrats. But I think we're going to have it done. I think the Republicans are going to vote for it. And it'll be the most consequential bill, I think, in the history of our country.
Leader Thune says he wants to get it done by July 4th.
Yeah.
Do you think that's possible?
I think it is, and I think he's doing a fantastic job. And Mike Johnson, Speaker, is doing a fantastic job, and they're both getting together well. There's great unity in the Republican Party. The Republican Party is a much different party than it was.
So it sounds like, and we had heard that there was a possibility, a potential that a bill would be negotiated and there would be a reconciliation on the table ahead of Memorial Day. But based on what the president said yesterday, he recorded this on Friday. Based on what the president said in the interview aired yesterday, it looks like July 4th. And wouldn't that be an interesting bill for the president to sign on the 4th of July? Wouldn't that be a very interesting bill? There was a little confrontation back and forth with the president and Welker on the tone and the tenor of the interview.
I want to treat people fairly, whether they voted for me or not. I want to have a unified country. It's very hard because the media is so fake, including, like even the way you ask questions. Every question is asked in a negative vein. There's a toy company that took a toddler's, whatever, but you don't talk about the fact that gasoline is down at numbers that nobody believes possible. You know why they're down, by the way? Drill, baby, drill. We're drilling like crazy right now.
We try to make sure every question is fair, Mr. President.
Look, every question you ask says a very negative slant.
No, but look, I'm just curious.
And I'm fine for responding to you. I don't think you're very difficult at all to respond to be honest with you. But you know what? You should ask some positive things.
Yeah, it truly is. Well, it's interesting to kind of challenge someone who's interviewing you. But I do think the president's right when he points out the tone of the questions and how they definitely are focused on negative. And in case you missed it earlier, we talked about the question about being a two-term president, not a third term.
I want to be a great president. I will have served. Hopefully, everything will go well. I feel very good. I just did a physical. I took, unlike all other presidents, I took cognitive tests and I aced it. I got 100% correct. And one doctor said, there were numerous doctors watching. And he said, I've never seen that before. Biden didn't take a cognitive. He couldn't have gotten the first question right. But I came out great with the physical, both physically and mentally. And I just want to serve, do a great job. I'll be an 8-year president. I'll be a 2-term president. I always thought that was very important, to be honest with you. You know, if you look at President Polk, he was a 1-termer and he did some great things, actually. Pretty good president. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but there's something about being a 2-term president that was very important to me.
And he wants to be a 2-term president, unlike what you're hearing out of CNN. And CNN's been spreading this for a long time. We go back to really just over a year ago, was April 9th of last year. CNN was already freaking out about a third term of Donald Trump. This is a year ago, well ahead of the election.
Strictly speaking, after FDR and Harry S. Truman, who I believe was the last one eligible to run for a third term, it should be 0, right? But it ain't trading at 0 when it comes to Donald Trump. And in fact, the odds of him potentially winning the GOP nomination in 2028, they're going up. Look at this. On November 10th, it was 3%. Look at where it is now. It's 9%. And you might say 9% isn't that high, but it should be 0. This is a 1 in 10 chance that some folks are putting on it. And that, to me, is ridiculously high, given, of course, that the Constitution bars him from running for a third term, strictly speaking.
That is, of course, the condition at CNN known as Harry Enton. And if you have Harry Enton, I'm told by a reliable source there are pills for that. But CNN now is doing polls about Trump running for a third term. What do the numbers say? We'll share them with you just around the corner. If you want to join the conversation, 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. What are the people telling CNN about Donald Trump and a possible third term? They're obsessed with it. I'm not. It's Opelka in for Plant on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris.
It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Chris Plant today. Thanks for being here. I got to get back to one of these clips, finish off the Harry Enton story, and then back to a call or two here if we have time. We talked about how long CNN's been freaking out about the idea of a third Trump term because it only adds fuel to the fear porn that they're constantly selling. And we played the clip from just about a year ago where Harry Enton, not a condition, just it's a person actually, was talking about the 10% chance that Trump would run for a third term on the betting sites. Well, they were already out asking questions in the CNN polling center, and Harry has the numbers.
Get this. GOP who say that Trump should run for another term. In May of 2021, for a second term, 66%, the clear majority of Republicans said, yes, he should run for a second term.
Second term. Key issue. Second term. But they're now focused on this third term.
Compare that to now where it's just 44% who say he should run for a third term. This is simply put just not a popular idea. When you're getting this fight back from the Republican base to a degree that we simply put have never seen before, you get the idea of why Donald Trump came out yesterday with his most forceful comments to date, saying, you know what, really, it's two terms for me, because even on this particular issue, he does not have the Republican base with him. And when it comes to the overall population, I'm going to end the same way I started. It is about as popular as the idea of New Coke was in the mid-1980s. Simply put, nobody wants this.
Nobody makes a New Coke reference anymore because it's like 50 years ago. But good for you, Harry Enton. I hope you take the pills for that. Let's grab a call before we get out of here this half hour. Matt is in Arlington, Virginia. Matt, you had something to share to the program? Breaking news?
Well, it's breaking news. Terrible news about this holiday.
What?
Are you aware that the Chinese have purchased all trademarks and copyrights regarding Cinco de Mayo?
I was not. No, seriously?
Yes, it is now Cinco de Mayo.
Okay, you can see yourself out, but I'll be stealing that. Cinco de Mayo. Get out of here. I love you. I mean it. Jerome is in Charleston, South Carolina. Hello, Jerome. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Mikey, Trump talks about 100% on his cognitive. That's the same guy said the immigrants were eating people's pets. Where's the video on that? And that Ukraine started the war with Russia. Where did that start, Mike? Mike, come
Jerome.
on, give me some talk to
Jerome.
me, Mikey.
Jerome, do you want to have a conversation, or do you just want to yell and laugh like somebody who's got serious TDS? Do you want to have a conversation? Would you like to? Would you like to?
Of course, Mikey. Conversation is always good, Mikey. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Jerry and Mikey having a conversation. Yeah, Trump misspeaks every now and then he trolls you people. And it's always fun to watch how you react. I'll put Biden's cognitive score up against Trump's cognitive score and put all my chips on Trump every day. Thank you, though, Jerome, for calling and being so respectful. I hope your TDS gets better. It's Opelka in for Plant. And welcome back to the Cinco de Porto edition of the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Chris Plant here on Cinco de Mayo, as one of you just gave us the breaking news. I love puns. I really do. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. It is a Monday, kicking off the week with a Monday Cinco de Mayo. I want to get a couple more clips in here and discuss a little bit more about the interview with Kristen Welker and President Trump, but also Alan in Chicago, listening on the great WLS, has been holding and has an interesting perspective I want to get to. Alan, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Michael, good morning. You know, your last two callers make me wish that Valium was available in an aerosol. I have a problem with the lack of specificity when it comes to tariffs. You hear that 25%, 50%. Well, understand this. I was in business for many years. If you go to a store to buy a shirt that's priced at $50, the vendor paid $12. The tariff applies to the 12, not to the 50. So they may pay $15 for that shirt. What I'm hearing is all of a sudden that shirt's $100. That's not true. They're paying an additional $2 or $3. They may mark it up to cover their profit because they want to maintain the bottom line. They want that to look good. But the misrepresentation, either these people don't understand business or, well, I suspect they're lying, because the tariff applies to the landed cost of a product coming from a foreign country. And what heartens me about the tariff deal is I've been around for 73 years. I've watched us send money out to other countries like Germany that will not take our products, Japan, for decades. Open your doors, baby. If not, Trump's going to kick them in. But you better start trading and opening your public to the values that America offers, which might happen to make their standard of living a little better.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting? And that, number one, your first point is really important, Ellen, and that is that the tariffs are on the cost of the goods as they land here, not on the retail end of things. And it is it's journalistic malpractice not to give the full story, but that's kind of been the way things are. And the reality of the other countries, Germany and Japan, the two examples you gave are prime examples of countries that have not been trading fairly with us, even though for the last 70 years in the case of Japan and, frankly, in the case of Germany, with the rebuilding of Germany that America and Europe did post-World War II, it really has been rather unfair, and we should have been treated much better a long time ago. And to let people know how hugely things have changed, I was just looking at a stat that came out of the American Apparel and Footwear Association. Think about that. Your clothing and your shoes. And in 1991, not that long ago, 56% of all the clothing and shoes sold in America was made in America. 56%, 1991. And currently, it's at 3%. So we have driven businesses out of this country by allowing others to take advantage of us. And that's why we see so much stuff coming out of India and Pakistan and Vietnam as it relates to clothing, and China as it relates to shoes. And I know that the labor cost has been a part of that, but it also has been the unfair tariffs back and forth between them. Great call, Alan. Excellent stuff. Really appreciate you sharing with us. Thanks for being there. And I want to get back to a couple more of these Welker clips, because this was really interesting to me. The president was quizzed on some issues within his team, one of them being the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. Didn't take half a minute to clear up any questions on Pete Hegseth.
Are you looking for a new Secretary of Defense?
No, not even a little bit. No. Pete's going to be great.
His job is safe right now?
We're doing a fantastic job against the Houthis, who like blowing ships up and watching them sink in the ocean. We're hitting them very hard. No, he's doing a very good job.
His job is safe right now?
Totally safe.
She only asked the question 3 times. He says it's safe. That's like Marathon Man. Is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe? Are you going to keep asking? I do appreciate when President Trump takes every opportunity to remind the media, especially people like MSNBC, NBC, CNN, etc., at just how they protected Joe Biden, a guy who was not really able to do the job, almost from day one. And Donald Trump was quite clear yesterday.
And you know what I can't name? I can't name one Democrat. I mean, I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding. I don't know what they're going to do. And I really believe in a two-party system. Because it's good to be challenged. It's really good to have a two-party. You know, it's good. Being challenged is okay. It keeps you sharp. I don't know what they're going to do. They have nobody. Bernie's 87 years old or something. And, you know, Biden is the worst thing that ever happened to old people because he was grossly incompetent. And I think maybe for artificial reasons. You know, he had operations and things. So maybe that's an artificial. But I know people that are unbelievably sharp, and they're older than 87. But I watch Bernie Sanders. He's a nut job, but he's still sharp. He's sharp as he's the same guy he was. He hasn't gone down. But Biden is he's the worst thing to happen to old people.
I think that's true. Biden really did hurt the party and kind of put a stain on elderly people in this country. But so where are the Democrats going to go? Where is the future of the Democrat Party? It may be outside the party. It may be over on ESPN. It may be with Stephen A. Smith. In case you missed it, he was on with State of the Union, on with Jake Tapper on State of the Union.
If you were to run for president, though, it would be as a Democrat or no?
Come on.
You know what? I'm an independent. I'm a registered independent. I would lean who leans left. I'm fiscally conservative when it comes to my money. I'm socially liberal. I'm liberal when it comes to social issues, pretty much across the board, I believe.
So you're a registered independent who's fiscally conservative, but you lean liberal on social issues. Would that make you a libertarian? But Tapper didn't think to ask that question. No.
Even living and let living. So I'm a moderate, and I would say if I had to run, it would be as a Democrat, but I'm not happy with the Democratic Party. So the Democratic Party is presently constructed. It would pretty much need to be purged in order for me to assume that I would want to be associated with them.
Yeah, so here's a guy who calls himself an outsider, calls himself a registered independent, who says he's socially liberal, but then he says he's kind of in the middle of everything. But no, you can't be a social liberal and say you're in the middle of everything. Who wants a purge of the Democratic Party in order for him to become the Democrat candidate? He just called for a purge of the party.
And I would garner their support because I don't like the way they've gone about doing a lot of things for a very, very long period of time. And I think that I don't view Donald Trump as winning the election. I view the Democrats as losing the election, as absolutely positively blowing it with some of their actions. And that's why I think that, again, if somebody was to associate me with that, the party is presently constructed where it leads so extremely left, or at least it spent the vast majority of time doing that. Oh, that is not something that I would vibe with at all. I would definitely be looking to be a game changer in that regard.
So I hope he runs. I really do hope Stephen A. Smith runs for office. I think that would be just absolute money in the bank. You could run a blender against Stephen A. Smith. Absolutely ready for that. Please God, just let me take a moment and ask you, say a little prayer. Can you let Stephen A. Smith run? And the president's right. Jasmine Crockett, not a good example for Democrats. Jasmine Crockett, although if you watch, and I was watching Jasmine Crockett this weekend, she seems to have dropped some of what Van Jones used to call the radical pose. She seems to be working again on her precise diction and sounding more like a solid candidate. She was on with Ari Melber on MSNBC talking about her dream now is to be on the Oversight Committee, as there are Democrats that are retiring in the House, and she wants one of those plum committee positions. And she was talking with Ari Melber, as I said, on MSNBC about that. Cut 4, please, Michael. If you got it handy.
I'm looking forward to some of the things that we're going to do on oversight as we continue to push back against this administration. Now that we know that they are doing things such as, snatching people off the streets and throwing them down in what I would consider to be concentration camps or prisons. And these are people that haven't been convicted of anything.
So Jasmine Crockett, and you'll notice she has kind of tweaked her language. She has taken it up a notch because she used to speak in more of a street parlance, if you will. And now she is back up on what could be considered a more proper tone. And it seems like is she trying to abandon the position she took, the radical pose that she took. But talking about sweeping people up and throwing them into concentration camps, that's not happening. Not happening at all. She's also claiming the FDA is firing people.
Same thing with the FDA is they're going out and they're firing people, and we don't know what its impact is going to be as it relates to our food supply, and they don't want to tell us about it, whether or not our food is going to be safe.
Yeah, are you really worried about your food being safe? Where have you been in the past, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years? She wants to make sure everybody's angry, though.
We need to make sure that the American people are just as enraged as we all should be, right, because this administration is truly trying to kill us, it feels like.
Truly trying to kill us. Truly trying to kill us. The Democrats are trying to divide us. Democrats are trying to destroy us. The Democrats are the ones who are tearing America apart. Let me grab one more call here. Chuck is in South Carolina. Chuck, you had a question regarding the Doge. Chuck, are you with me? I hear you. Chuck might be across the room. Had us on speakerphone. I do want to address Doge because Doge was brought up briefly in the interview with Kristen Welker yesterday. President Trump talking about Doge and Elon Musk.
What do you say to those who believe Elon Musk's chainsaw approach has jeopardized the safety and security of Americans?
Well, first of all, getting the word chainsaw in your question, you did that. The CPAC moment with the chainsaw was months ago now. You're really going back to the chainsaw approach, trying to be dramatic. President Trump handles this well.
The safety and security of Americans.
Well, he found $160 billion worth of fraud, waste, and abuse. I mean, I think he's done an amazing job. I think his people have done an incredible job. They're brilliant people. They know the computer. I actually asked him, what's their big trait? He said they're unbelievable at computers. In other words, you can't fake them out because these people were, in many cases, crooks. But it was fraud, waste, and abuse. They found your question should be asked a different way. Were certain things found? Yes. How much? $160 billion. Think of what $160 billion is. He found $160.
He said he'd find $2 trillion.
Well, we're not finished yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a key point here. If you stop $160 billion in waste in 1 year, and we do the government accounting on this, you know, because that's what it is. It's always on a 10-year program. $160 billion saved a year is $1.6 trillion over a decade. That's how the government accounting office always scores these bills, right? So that's 1.6. Now, I would like to see more, but there are a whole bunch of cuts that Doge was trying to make that are currently in limbo because of judges, because of the judges.
We're not finished
yet. Do you
yet.
think the work continues even though he's leaving? He said
sure. He's leaving behind some very brilliant people. They were on television last night. They're super high IQ people. I like high IQ people. The Democrats don't have many of them.
Oh, a little shot there at the end. That was very good, Mr. President. A little left hook that came out of nowhere. Boom. Down goes Welker. I'm not advocating for violence against Kristen Welker. I'm just laughing at that shot that came in out of nowhere. The reality is Elon Musk had a 130-day special employee contract. It's ending pretty soon, middle of the month, I think, depending if you count whether or not he was working weekends. The people he put in place will remain. They will continue looking. The fight to get all of the cuts reestablished could take that number up very high. In the meantime, $160 billion, nothing to sneeze at. All right, I still have one or two more little surprises. We'll wrap up for the day. Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. It is The Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka wrapping up Cinco de Mayo. I have had so much fun here today. Thank you for being so welcoming. Chris should return tomorrow, and I'll be here when he needs me. Before we get out of here, no Cinco de Mayo celebration would be complete without madness from the ladies at The View, especially Ana Navarro.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if when he took that oath of office, he thought he was saying that he swore to uphold the constipation of the United States, or maybe the confiscation of the United States. I don't know. Maybe he didn't hear right.
Maybe he didn't hear right. Yeah, these harpies on The View, they've lost their minds. And tomorrow, wait till you witness the butt-kissing of the Bidens. Lady McBiden and Joe Biden will be on The View mañana after Cinco de Mayo. But Ana Navarro wasn't done. You know, this was all about the anger that the left had over Donald Trump posting a photo of himself, a photoshopped photo, AI photo of himself as the new pope. Oh, are they mad about this?
And so all of those devout Catholics that voted for Donald Trump because they thought for some reason he was a better representation of faith than other folks, I think you need to ask yourself some questions, and I think you need to ask the White House and Donald Trump some questions, because Trump, Mr. President, it's his holiness, the Pope, not his oiliness, the dope. Well,
oh, they're so clever, aren't they? His holiness, the Pope, not his oiliness, the dope. Ana Navarro, fake Republican, fake conservative. By the way, speaking of the Pope, the last wishes of Pope Francis, he wanted the Pope Mobile to be turned into a health clinic for the children of Gaza. Yes, the Pope Mobile will be converted into a mobile health clinic to help the children of Gaza, which is kind of funny to me. Not ha-ha funny, but just funny. They're going to have test kits, suture kits, syringes, oxygen supplies, vaccines, and a fridge for storing medicines. The Pope Mobile doesn't look like it's the ideal machine for that. But I bet if you'd have auctioned it off, you could have gotten a whole bunch of money, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, to create an actual like ambulance that would carry tons and tons of medicines and really be able to help people. I think they missed an opportunity here because car collectors would want that Pope Mobile. Who wouldn't want to be driving around town in that? He wanted to do something good, I'm sure. Thank you again. Thank you, Michael Piercy. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, all of you. It's Mike Opelka reminding you, I'll be back when you need me. Testudo, my friends. What was that, Mr. President?
Testudo.
Thank you.